Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Mishal Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Vivek Pandit, the co-founder and chief innovation officer of PeduL, joining us, and also the founder of the Quarter-Life Crisis Club. He's going to be talking a little bit about really that coaching side of what he's doing here. To give you guys some more context on his background, he's a Brown University grad, Forbes 30 Under 30 honorary, TEDx speaker, recipient of the Presidential Service Award from President Obama, and now he's leading a diversity recruiting platform that uses AI, but today the focus is going to be on the coaching side of things. So we'll explore his founding story, really how he's scaling his mission-driven company, and just what the future looks like. So let's dive in. Vivek, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. Super excited to be here.
Absolute pleasure having you on. Take us back to the beginning. What inspired you to start the Quarter Life Crisis Club?
Yeah, so I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I was in the most conservative district of Texas. I was the only Indian male in my grade and vegetarian and Hindu playing varsity football in high school in Texas. I like to joke, like I wasn't even considered a minority. I was truly an alien. Like they had never seen me before, let alone step on a football field.
Right.
So life was very black and white, the Texas way of life. I honestly love Texas and there was nothing against it, but it's very black and white. Work hard, be respectful, be a family man, serve your community, and get rich. Then I went to Brown University. First of all, Texas to Rhode Island, crazy culture switch, but going from a very not diverse place to one of the most diverse universities in the world was incredible culture shock. And for the first time ever, I started hearing people talking about prioritizing community and DEI and being not necessarily chasing money, the more nonprofit lens. So I got very confused in terms of my identity crisis. I was like, am I supposed to make money and win that way? Or am I supposed to serve my community and not care about money? Does caring about money make me a bad person? But then I met Dan Gilbert, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers and Rocket Mortgage, and started my first company with him. And one of the things he told me was the for more than profit mentality, which is you can make millions of dollars by helping millions of people. And so fell in love with that concept. That's what I talked on my TED Talk about. But that's what I fell in love with becoming a startup founder. Throughout the journey of becoming a startup founder, though, you can imagine they like to glorify the founder journey, but it is really tough. And God bless us now, like we're finally picking up on traction and found product market fit and things like that. But it was through the journey of being a startup founder that I faced a lot of existential questions, identity crisis part two. And I think the biggest thing that I was struggling with was the tension between being delusional, somewhat necessary, not arrogant, but delusional,
Right.
belief in myself and trusting my intuition, but also knowing that I lack experience, just I'm young, and that advice from other people and insights from them are also very helpful. So the idea was when I get advice from someone that I respect, that's very well accomplished, but their advice goes against my intuition, which one do you believe? And I think that is where I had this double-edged sword of tunnel vision, which is like trusting myself is why I kept going, pushed through, and created the company that I've created. It's also the reason I probably didn't succeed as fast as I could have. And so all of those types of lessons and questions and things like that helped me pursue what I called the machine of life. And so we'll dive, I'm sure we can dive into that. I've been talking a lot, but one of my mentors, she told me, because as I was building the startup, was that I feel like there's a lot of things out of my control. Sales cycles, tariffs, the economy, COVID. How am I supposed to build a company in the modern fundraising crisis, in the economic downturn, when nothing's in my control? And what she taught me was stop thinking about the paradigm of what you can control and not control. Instead, she told me life is a machine. Like any machine, there's a design. Once you understand the design, you become immensely powerful. And I fell in love with the concept. What is the machine of life? How could I break it down and then take actions in accordance to the machine of life so I could, manifest my reality? And here we are.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So as far as I want to get into nuts and bolts really with what you're doing with the Quarter Life Crisis Club, the core offer here, what does that look like? How do you structure it for some of the clients you work with, what that journey is? And then who is like your ideal client that you like to coach?
Yeah, so three-part structure. It's about 12 weeks. Depending on who it is, we can shorten it or increase it, but 12 weeks is the foundation. The first month, we really focus on decoding who you are. I think we've put a lot of labels on ourselves and we think we know who we are, but breaking down and starting from neutral, I've seen is very important. So we build what I call a tree of reality. So everyone has a tree of reality. So what is the seed? Where does your entire reality start? What are your paradigms, which we call the trunk? What are your stories, which are the branches? And then the leaves are your actions. And I
Mhm.
always like to say you take actions in direct accordance to your reality. So if you're perceiving reality a certain way, you're going to take certain actions a certain way. And the
Mhm.
whole point of the tree of life in the first month is to help reframe how you can change your perception of reality. The first way to get out of a quarter life crisis is actually to reframe your quarter life crisis. Realize you're not actually behind. You're not
Right.
actually like poor. You're not actually, yeah, exactly. So that's the first month. The second month, we do a lot of diving into the curriculum of the machine of life.
Mhm.
So I was blessed to have the same mentors as Neil Patrick Harris, the
Mhm.
chairman of the Warner Brothers. The same concepts that I was taught are what inspired the Wachowski sisters to produce The Matrix. And the niche and gap that I really saw was to get this type of information, you have to spend an exorbitant amount of money, right? Which is why certain elites get this information. I feel like people that might need it the most aren't able
Mhm.
to access it. And number two is you're not really hearing about it from people in their 20s and 30s. This is 40, 50, 60 plus year old people who lead with empathy, but frankly, completely disconnected from our generation, Gen Z and
Yeah.
millennials, right? So it's hard to speak to them when they're a little bit more dry and out of touch to really understand the core curriculum. And so what I've done is I've taken curriculum from ancient texts, high performance coaching, therapy, landmark, forums, all this types of stuff, quantum physics. I took a lot from science, put it together into a more Gen Z millennial friendly curriculum called the Machine of Life. So that's what we focus on the second week or second month. Once you have the core foundation of who you are, once you understand the machine of life, so we're on the same page with certain language and phrases and concepts, then we get into the last month, which is all right, what does your future fulfill look like? How do we work backwards, integrate the concepts we've learned, and create the life that you want? We like to say life goes the way you say it does. So you get to
Mhm.
tell me what you want, and then we get to make it happen. And that's effectively the core offering.
Amazing. I love the way that you really segmented this essentially into like really three main parts here. So it's a 90-day engagement from what it sounds like. As far as like really who you work with, who you've niched down in, is this industry agnostic or is there a certain vertical that you prefer to work in?
Yeah, so I call it the quarter life crisis. So that's what I went through, my quarter life crisis. I was 25, so it's a few years ago. I threw a quarter life crisis birthday party. 300 people showed up. I didn't even know most of them, but everyone was like, quarter life crisis, drink your worries away. I'm there. So once I realized how much of a niche that was, so we're talking about people between, it's a big range. Quarter life is doesn't mean you're 25, but anywhere from about 18 high performing young college students all the way up to about 35. That's the niche. People that are going through identity crisis, purpose crisis. I've done a lot of relationship coaching, career coaching, any one of those categories where someone's feeling lost, stuck, or confused and just lacking clarity and confidence in general. And then I use the curriculum to help basically navigate their quarter life crisis. We call it from crisis to comeback. And so
Mhm.
that's who I work with. So it's pretty industry agnostic because as you can imagine, the whole idea and why I started this is it's the machine of life, right? It doesn't matter if it's mental health, physical health, relationships, work, everything fits in the category of life.
Yeah.
So I'm really tailoring it to a specific age group in terms of generation in the quarter life crisis, but you don't have to necessarily be in a certain, industry or work or thing like that.
Yeah, essentially with that, your messaging can apply to so many different audiences out there, depending on what they're struggling with, relationship, professional, personal, whatever it may be. So that's incredible. And as far as really acquisition goes, what are you doing right now to generate leads, paid ads, social media? How are you generating more and more of this awareness, referrals? What's been working best there?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I have an amazing group of friends. I'm so lucky. And it started with just warm referrals and things like that, and me just doing it for free with some of my friends. And the outcomes were incredible. We saw people quit their normal 9 to 5 and start multi-million dollar companies. Like literally, that was unbelievable more than once. I've seen Forbes 30 under 30 founders that everyone looks up to, but deep down, they still can't get over that girl that ghosted them. So, like, working through that. Um,
Yeah.
so we've seen some incredible first time coaching, things like that. Word of mouth spread. Machine of Life has a ring to it, and Quarter Life Crisis is very relatable. But the second thing that we've been doing is a lot of social media presence, so content creation. Haven't flirted with the ads yet. That's probably second as I start to scale and grow. But if anyone's listening interested, I funnel everybody to a webinar that I do for free every month, just so people can get understanding of who I am, my story, and why I'm so convicted and confident in what I've built in terms of my curriculum. And then after that, we'll do a one-on-one call, make sure that we understand who you are, what your goals are, what you really want to accomplish. and then we'll tailor it, personalize it to your goals. And so that's been the process right now. But over the next couple of months, looking to scale this thing, especially with social media ads and growing my pipeline.
Yeah, incredible. So really that idea of scaling is on the forefront, really wanting to take this to the next level. So you're looking at paid ads as like that predictable way to generate leads and really create more of that consistency from what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Love it. So as far as your sales process goes, are you a solopreneur in the day-to-day doing the sales calls? Do you have a team in place handling some of those components? How is all of that structured currently?
Yeah, so I have someone that helps me with the Quarter Life Crisis Club in terms of making content and things like that. So that's been great. And then I have a team that helps me put the webinars together, strategize the funnel, things like that. But when it comes to sales calls, ads, closing, all that type of stuff, yeah, that's all me. So in terms of dealing with the day-to-day operations, that's me. In terms of strategy, I have some help, but always looking to optimize anything involved.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So you essentially getting them on the webinar and then you'll have that discovery session take place if anyone wants to sign up. Are you thinking of running like more of a book to call, like a book a call funnel as well outside of the webinar? What's your thought process there?
Yeah, now it's webinar to then one-on-one call to then, okay, closed, here's your curriculum. Yeah. But that can iterate and change, but I try to get multiple people excited all at once on a webinar and then talk to them personally so they know that I'm like actually taking the time to get to know them, and then we'll close it from there. Yeah.
Amazing. As far as scaling grows, that's the next step. Bringing in a sales team, maybe someone to help with the closing setting as you're looking at growth. So what is the vision then over the next 6 to 12 months? What is this runway for 2025 that you're setting up?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think I'm still putting tangible goals to it. I'm a very like vision oriented person, and it's amazing because like I can create things that literally do not exist in physical reality. But it's also very difficult because as a visionary, like working back to what I should accomplish in a year, 6 months, month, week, or day is very tough. But the goals that I have is eventually I want to scale this up to 30 to 50K a month. These webinars or inbound should be something that's like automatic and nonstop. And then I want to start filling up these webinars and having a consistent deal flow and do what I really love, which is the coaching part. I think a lot of the other stuff is exciting because I get to know them and all that. But when I see transformation, I'm able to help someone discover their internal power and potential. That's what gets me going. So, yeah,
Love
in
that.
terms of automating any of the processes to get there, that is the plan.
I'd love for you to share a little bit about your biggest client win as far as a success story that has moved you. Share that with our audience today.
Yeah, so I would say I have a couple. I guess I'll share two. So the first one is actually two women concepts. So I guess I'll put them into one. But they both had 9 to 5 jobs. They were stuck. They were afraid to leave because what the hell were they going to do? They thought they were doing what they should do, and they were making good money. And something that I like to talk about with my clients is a 7 out of 10 pain sucks. An 8 out of 10 pain is terrible. 10 pain is the worst. 10 out of 10 is a blessing because you will actually change. And something that that I worked with them was understanding like what are they sacrificing by choosing to stick with their behavior scripts of staying at this company. Eventually, both of them quit. Both of them pursued their passion, and they are now both running 7-figure companies, which has been incredible to see the journey from I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm stuck at this company to I am traveling the world. I'm a content creator doing what I love and making 7 figures. That was awesome. The other one, and I know we joke about it and stuff, but relationships, love, relationships, feelings, that stuff's tough. And when I see high performing, successful Forbes 30 under 30 startup founders that everyone thinks are crushing it, that internally are like, I don't know who to talk to because I can't get this girl off my mind or I can't get this guy off my mind. That has been another huge win. I got a text from one of the founders and he goes, "Man, I'm doing what you said and it's crazy. Life feels like a game." I was like,
Mm.
exactly. That's one of my quotes. The universe is like a game. Once you understand
Yeah.
the rules, it becomes a beautiful game to play. So
Mm.
that was another one. And then my last one, sorry, I'm bragging now.
Oh,
My
please.
last one was someone else who was working closely with me actually on a project.
Yeah.
I could tell that she was probably sticking around because she was afraid to let go, but she definitely was not happy anymore. Had a conversation with her about what do you really want? I know who you are. And I know when I first joined you, the emotional states and well-being you had like in a positive way. And I don't think that exists anymore. Do you want to consider changing what you're doing? And it was a tough conversation because we were working closely on something. She ended up leaving. 6 months later, I get a text and it says, I just wanted to let you know that conversation we had all those months ago literally changed my effing life. LMFAO, thank you so much. That
Powerful.
was so cool. Yeah.
Holy shit. That's wow, mic drop right there, Vivek. Amazing. Wow. So how do you see, I want to get your thoughts on this. How do you see the relationship and coaching industry evolving in the coming years, especially with a lot of your focus on diversity? How is Quarter Life Crisis Club positioning itself for that type of future?
Yeah, so I think so I'm a very community oriented person. So like I said, I'm in the Forbes communities, I'm in a community called Summit, I'm in all these digital communities, social clubs, all this type of stuff. And two things that I've realized I'm not getting out of any of them, and I'm talking like dozens. The first one is real, authentic, genuine friendships. Lots of times when you go to these things, they're fun, you have a great time, but do you leave with a genuine connection and
Mm,
relationship with someone where you like actually know their vulnerabilities, what makes them tick, their obstacles in life, their dream, their vision, that type of stuff.
mm,
First thing about the Quarter Life Crisis Club is you're going to get real, real fast. You're going to
mm,
meet friends real fast. And you will cry on the first Zoom call or laugh your ass off with people that were strangers when you first came, but best friends when you're leaving. So that's the first thing. The second thing is a lot of therapy, coaching, performance, goal setting, all that stuff typically happens one-on-one with a therapist or life coach, or maybe like me, I'm lucky to have parents that will hold me accountable. I say lucky with a grain of salt. I think the other thing is I haven't found a community of people that are high performing or have that desire in their 20s that want to come together, celebrate wins together, knowledge share, insight share, and do
mm,
this in a collaborative, supportive way and cheer each other on. I think something with a lot of like high performing people is we don't celebrate our wins enough, win and we're on to the next thing. So with this community, we've really celebrated wins together and it's been super cool. So I think those are the two main reasons I love the Quarter Life Crisis Club. And frankly, the name applies to everybody. You don't have to be a startup founder. You don't have to be just in finance. You can be a content creator. You can be a nurse. You can be whoever and join this because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're doing. We're all struggling in our 20s trying to figure life out. And like I said, the machine of life is applicable to anything in life. So because we keep it so broad but niche the idea by the age and
mm.
the quarter life crisis, it's been really fruitful and beneficial for everybody of all backgrounds.
No, I love it. What you're building here is so incredible. And this is the platform to bring more and more of that awareness. And I'm sure this resonates with the listeners. So I'm excited for you going into the latter half of this year. I have a fun question now because we were talking about scaling and growth. If we brought a genie in the room, you rub the lamp, now all of these unlimited resources appear. What would you implement immediately to accelerate the growth and the community for the Quarter Life Crisis Club?
I think the first thing would be just top of funnel. I think just reach and because the positioning, the marketing, the events, everything's been going great. It's a legit company that's had incredible or community that's had incredible outcomes. I just think awareness and
Mm,
top of funnel attraction for the club and my coaching is really the one bottleneck that if I solved, we'd be
mm.
rocking and rolling. Yeah.
Okay. No, I love that. Now, one last note before we do wrap up. For the listeners, entrepreneurs, founders looking to follow in your footsteps, and you've worked with so many of these clients, they're scared to go away from their 9 to 5, the safety of a job, following their dreams. What advice would you give to them?
Something my mom told me, which is instead of asking yourself, why won't I leave? Because then your answer is gonna be, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I don't want to let my parents down, all that stuff. The question I ask myself is, why am I choosing to stay? Why am I choosing to continue to live in this pain? And the answer is, might be similar, but when you ask yourself, why am I choosing to do this? You seem to get a new agency or power in realizing I can change it versus feeling like I won't leave because I'm stuck. I think the first thing I really get my clients to understand is this is a choice. And
Mm,
it doesn't make you a good or bad person. It has nothing to do with good or bad or right or wrong, but you're choosing to stay here. Right? So instead of trying to figure out why you should leave, why are you really choosing to stay? And then
mhm,
they'll pause and be like, I don't actually have a good reason. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the first thing to ask yourself is why have you continued to make this decision or choice? And if you can't think of a good reason, then we should consider changing it.
there's a really interesting thing I heard the other day, which was make a list of all the things you like about what you're doing now and all the things you don't like. And it's kind of like you're envisioning the scale. And if you see there's the weight on the things you don't like, that's the signal they'll make that change and to take that step.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
that's
Yeah,
super
I love that. Yeah, yeah.
incredible. Thank you so much for joining us today, Vivek, sharing your incredible journey with us on Founders Future and the best way for the listeners to get in touch and potentially even work with you. What does that look like?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on social media. I think my LinkedIn and Instagram are both Vivek Pandit 108.
Mhm.
108's my lucky universal number. You can DM me on either of those platforms. Shoot me an email, Vivek at pedul.com. And then we can see if I can help you out. If you want to join the webinar, if you want to join the community, if you want coaching, whatever it is. But I am a giver. I am very blessed to have had incredible people support me in my life. I am who I am because of everyone around me. I just want to get back and I want to help people that might be feeling lost, stuck, and confused because I was that overweight, drinking all the time, depressed zombie floating in life with no purpose and understanding of anything, to traveled all 7 continents, Forbes 30 under 30, living a life I love and have friends from all over the world. That transformation was only possible in me because of the things that I learned. And I'm here to teach the same stuff to you. We'd love to hear from anybody.
There you guys have it. The man himself here with us today, Forbes 30 under 30. Incredible, Vivek. I'm super excited to follow your journey along. And yeah, hopefully we can even do a part 2 and see everything that you're doing with the startup and then with this incredible. To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find some more resources and insights over at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses scale through trained appointment setters and world-class sales and marketing systems. So until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one.